So today I was feeling like streaming something. And so I'm thinking cities. It's been a long time. And so we're going to full build a city. I'm not sure how far it'll go, but I'm kind of excited about it. So let's see here. There we go. Okay. And now let's see. I think that'll be good enough. I just need a me in chat so that I can see if anybody pops in. All right. So, topic of the day. Let's pick a map. Okay, so we're going to go new map. We have a few options. So I want to look for the highest amount of, oh, Grand River. I kind of like it. There was one that we used a long time ago, and I can't remember the name of it. Eden. So when I'm picking a new map, I want to make sure that I have all the outside connections available. And then from there, I look for the highest amount of natural resources and buildable area. And that pretty much tells me where I'm going to be or what I'm doing. So this isn't bad. I prefer something with more than 70% building area if I can get it. Uh, we're getting less. So I don't like the maps that are mostly water. I don't see a point. It just makes it more difficult to figure out what you're doing. Um, uh, let's see. I think we may return to this. I like this. This is Swampy Cress. Okay, let's give it a try. See where we end up with it. So we need to input a new name. I have been using suffixes to make my city names. I just feel like it's more fun. So basically, you just want to take as many. Let's, okay, I think I've got it. So we are in the city of Port Bergamont Shiresville, Hamilton. That's, yeah, I think that's perfect. So we want to make sure we have some level of random disaster frequency, and then this cool feature, and that is it. All of this cheat stuff we leave off. We read the warning, and then we fire it up anyway. Okay, so first thing that you want to do when you get in is immediately pause the game the second it loads. Boop. This stops time from progressing forward. And I think I'm going to drop the audio on it because it is deafening me. Okay, so we have a pretty heavily forested area. Now that we are paused, we can take a look around at what we've actually got going on here. It appears like we have a pretty good sized little chunk here. So without unpausing, we can go into info views here and take a look at stuff like water direction. So it looks like our river flows around this way. Was it clockwise? I guess we're facing this way. No, yeah. Okay. So that is good to know because that means that when we want to put our Sorry, I'm trying to get a look using the edge of the screen, trying to see as far off as I can. Hello, everybody. Hello. um, I'm not sure what that little inlet is there. That little bit of water. I can't get my cursor over there, but it's okay. Um, that's going to be a future us problem. So now that we know which direction our water's headed, we know where we can put our sewers. All of our exiting waste and stuff comes over here as far down the river as we can get it so that we have most of the river available to us. Um, Next, I want to look at natural resources. So, I mean, pretty self-explanatory for right here. It is farmland and forestry. We have a little bit of minerals here, and then some really sparse oil going off into the distance. Pretty good amount of farmland there. Oh, a little bit of a heavier mineral supply and some very dark farmland. That's good. Um, really wish I could get a better view about what direction I want to head because any large body of water is sort of where I would like to aim, but you know, oh well. So basically, that means we're not going to be worrying about a whole lot of industry beyond setting up some forestry and farming. the unfortunate part about that is that industry is not available to us immediately. Most things are not available, and we'll have to earn our way to unlocking those. Piece of cake. So, this is the most basic interchange for the highway that could possibly be conceived, and it's terrible. So, the first thing we're going to have to buy is a new tile headed over there so that I can fix that. But what it looks like I may be seeing, yes, the railroad. We may catch the railroad by buying that next tile. Okay. So, in cities, you start not being able to build anything. All of your stuff is locked. And so instead of wasting a bunch of money, we don't need to do that. You really just need to build a little bit, delete a little bit, and now we have, access to more roads. Things have unlocked, and we only spent $10 to do it. It's not bad. So we have some 2-lane roads. I don't think it unlocks very many, but oh, we do have a couple large roads. Median 6-lane roads, no highways. And that's okay. We don't need a highway. We don't. I don't really use pre-built intersections, and then yeah, everything's still locked. So we need to come over to our bridge, check out how many lanes our highway is. We got 3 in, 3 out, and a pretty long, okay, a mildly long straightaway. I don't. It's going to become almost an immediate problem once we get anything built because the 2 lanes over there are connecting to a 3-lane road, and that is poor design. Um, and it's going to ruin our traffic efficiency. So, for this initial build, I think I'm going to have to use the Triton True roundabout. Um, for this island specifically, it may end up being pretty important. Um, and so, the best place that we want that placed at, we want it right here. Down just far enough to where there's 3 clicks. And then we want to set it with a curved road and try and get it as close in between these two as we can. That's good. So we have a little indicator that'll pop up showing us where our length of 10 is. And so this would be the smallest unit that you'd want to build a roundabout at. You could build it at a half, which is like with the little dick sticking out past the circle. To make the roundabout that I want, I believe we're going to have to go 2 over. It's going to make quite a large roundabout, but it isolates a lot of room so that I can do stuff with this space later. And for now, it just sort of keeps it contained as this roundabout. Okay, so I like to build my little roundabout here, and I match it so I don't go extra. I go 1 click past the 2-line marker, so that's 20 units. And it does a pretty good job of showing you relative to where you are, um, how much space you're taking up. Okay, so now we have a wonderful roundabout. It's extra large, and you can see just how many points there are to connect to by dropping your little mouse thing here. We have a lot of points of contact. It's still not perfect, but it's not bad. So we can go ahead and just take our roads over here. We still have the curved roads. I like to bring it all the way down to the 2-line mark since we are 3 away. And then we start to bring it down and it will bump itself into a curve. And what I like to do is have one spot for cars to change lanes in between my roundabout. So something that I've done here, and I've already messed up on it, is that I'm using a 2-lane road, and I need to be using I'm sorry, not 2-lane. It is 2-lane, but it's 2-way, and we don't want 2-way roads. Those are not going to help us. Because it's a roundabout, we need to upgrade these to a one-way street. There we go. This will work. This will allow traffic to flow in a singular direction for our roundabout. Once you build a 2-way street, you can convert it for free into a 1-way using the upgrade feature. That way you are not wasting all your money building and demolishing roads on the very first intersection that you make. So we have our traffic coming in. It's able to circle all the way around. Oops. And now we have a problem because the way I was running it set the directions. And so we can switch direction that easily. And now we have our first intersection. It's big, it's beautiful. It's also consuming a lot of the farmland. But this is not going to end up being our agriculture area. It'll probably end up being on the other side of the road over there, on the other side of the highway. And on this side, we may only end up developing some forestry, something like that. And so here we are. We have our first thing. It's done. Done and done. Now you just turn it on and earn millions. Now, I need to get some medium roads going on. So these will be the main roads that our city has leading to the neighborhoods and the industry. So we want to look at these little nodes. These little round circles that you see show areas where cars can change lanes. So we want to have at least one of them in between these. For right now, typically I will modify this roundabout, and we may do that on this build if I need to. But for right now, we want to come down to roughly the center of the roundabout, and we want to bring ourselves a road, a nice medium road, and we want to bring it pretty far over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 clicks is good. for now. I may end up having to add ends onto it, but this allows us to have a main street for our industry. Normally, I build the neighborhoods on this side and the industry on this side, but because traffic has to send itself to the industry constantly from both in and out of town, it's actually a really bad design to put the industry on this side because then you're kind of married to that. Um, and what you end up having is industrial traffic that blocks up your main street leading to your residential, and it creates traffic problems just because that's how you design the city. So we're going to swap those and see how well that goes. I think it may help in the long run. So this one, oh yeah, 5 is exactly how far we want. Okay. Well, I'm glad we did 5 clicks off of both. And for now, we're not going to worry about this part. All of this headed this direction it's not relevant currently because we have a very small budget. We want to make sure that if we're going to build normal roads with streetlights, that they are going to be functional for what we want and not plans for future. Because right now, that doesn't help us. Okay, so I'm going to build out some residential on this side before I forget that I want to swap from my normal build method. And so this is our residential side. And so it's important that when cars come in, they have enough room to change whatever lanes they need. And so I want to leave this untouched. From here to here, nothing's going here. No roads run off of that small point, at least initially. And so we're going to build towards the water. We can take it down a few clicks. Don't really need to worry about it too much because if we push it any further than this, no matter how many clicks we are, the neighborhood on this side is not going to be very large. So I switched from paved roads to dirt roads to save money. Paved roads really cost a lot of extra money. We honestly don't even need them up here or at the roundabout, but you can't really make a one lane or a one-way dirt road. So I use the paved roads for this, and I figure it's probably better to just get a medium road placed for the main street because typically this is the first road you're going to upgrade to be a medium-sized road. So just make it a medium-sized road. And the reason for that, you cannot move municipal buildings with a road upgrade. So what I mean by that is, well, we'll get to it. You place houses and different stuff along these roads. Different zoning and things fill up with these areas, right? And then if you want to upgrade that road to be bigger and you have, say, like a police station on one side and a medical office on the other side, the road will not be able to be upgraded because the game cannot force bump those types of structures out of the way. Normal zoning that you don't specifically set in a location, that stuff can be demolished just with the road upgrade, and sometimes it can just even bump back a little bit enough to make room. But it ends up causing a pretty big nightmare down the road if this is not already a medium-sized road. Just trust me. And so we'll make it, when we want to outline our roads, you can see that there's a circle around our little dot here, our little selection dot. And so if I was to take and build a road here, it would, if it was straight, completely overlap and fill all the way up to the zoning on the other street, leaving zero gap. That creates a fire hazard pretty quickly, in residential areas with trees especially. And so it's a good idea to look over at the edge of your circle and try to see how many um, empty spaces you're going to be leaving. For me, one space requirement. Two spaces is even better, but one allows you to basically build a whole extra road without having to worry about it. And then you end up with a nice gap here, which, when you're not looking at it, is not visible, but it will be. It will be noticeable once we get more stuff built. And so we're just going to run along and set that nice little one gap. You can see the edge of our circle. So we would be doing a full, like a blackout with zoning here. And so we want to make sure you see the edge of your circle has that one spot gap and run some roads. So this will be your basic residential, the starting neighborhood. Oh, we are getting close to the water's edge there. So I'm actually going to back it up just a little bit so that it's not on the shoreline. And I may do some stuff to connect these here in a minute, but it all costs money, and right now we just don't have it. So it's important to keep budget in mind the whole time because it is a game, and that is the goal. So I'm going to leave this little blurb hanging off so that I know I have a plan to build more stuff with it, and probably encircle this in a road of some kind later. You know what? We may just bump it down a touch right now for the other side of the road. Okay, so something else to keep in mind is that as you're building some of these highway roads and stuff, they're going to be generating noise all the time. And so you want to leave a little bit of a gap so that your residents that live right here, if someone has a house here, you know, there's a little bit before they're constantly hearing the traffic of the main road over here. They're going to anyway, but I do like to try and mitigate it if I can. And so I want to take up as much space as I can while leaving a little bit. That way we get as many houses built initially here as possible. Okay. And then for this one, we may end up wanting to run some sort of a one-way road off to the bridge so that residents that are leaving the city can leave out of the back of the neighborhood and not worry about having to clog up our traffic system to go all the way back up, over, and then get out. Because it'll cause congestion almost immediately. So typically, this is not enough neighborhood zoning to sustain a city up until it is generating income. And so you kind of have to put well, you kind of have to put a second neighborhood a little bit further down. So I think we're only going 3 clicks on this one because I am running out of money. And so this is going to be a little bit of a tighter zone because, right there, while fire hazards are good, or I'm sorry, while fire hazards are bad and having that gap is good, normally I like to build 3 streets that are pressed against the next level of zoning. I typically do it on the back of the neighborhood, but we just ran out of space here. And I kind of have a vague plan to do a one-way road or parks or something over here in this little nook. Um, Actually, let me see. We do have a lot of road right here to do stuff with. So we'll run one neighborhood pressed against the other. There. And now I still have enough of a little stub here to where I can run my little connecting road out if I decide to. Um, but it's really going to make every little bit of difference having some of these areas where they're zoned not necessarily fully pressed against each other, but just about. Okay, I think this is enough to get it done. I think. And we're going to find out. So we can come over here. We only have 48,000 left. It's important to be mindful of that. The industry roads are not going to need very much. There's just not a lot involved with it. We'll give it the same one dot runoff just for consistency. I'll run a basic spine road down. We'll go 4 clicks. And this area for now is going to be just as pressed together as possible. We want to get as much money out of this factory zoning as we possibly can. And that means skirting the fire regulations of having that nice airy gap. I do have a method and a trick to ensure the safety of our workplace sites anyway. Um, there. Okay. And so now we want to build some out going this way as well. These ones we can run pretty close to the edge of the main roads because it's industrial, so there won't be noise concerns. Most of these businesses will be generating noise, and so they'll feel right at home alongside the highway. There we go. So this is not bad. Um, we spent a lot of extra money making the extra large roundabout and the medium roads. I think theoretically you could run all dirt roads, not do a roundabout, and just have a main intersection, but it may come back to bite you in the butt later. Um, it just depends on what you do, how you like to build stuff. Okay, so next up, we need to be worried about our water and our power. We need utilities to keep things running, and it is expensive. So we have some water pipes here, and I feel like the best way to do it, if you're trying to save money, is look at the edge of where the water hits and then build your pipes. That way you're not ever wasting any of it. The more fun way to do it is to run pipes under all the roads because that's where pipes for water pipes go. It increases the amount for your budget exponentially for no reason other than I don't know, to satisfy some weird OCD urge and have lots of overlap on your water supply because, pipes go under roads, but yeah, whatever. If you have the money to do that out of the gate, you're cheating. I'll just tell you that right now, because you don't. You just fucking don't. So, if we remember, our water is headed this way. So we're going to need a water pumping station. We want to set this stuff up far away from our city because while, yes, it does take both power and pipes to get it there, having it be right on top of your residence is not going to be what you want, typically. So we can build the main spine for it just right out through the ocean to the edge of where we want it. Bam. So all we've done now is set up some pipe, and we can go without looking at the roads or anything else, and just looking at the edges of our water and try and determine how far of an overlap we want. If you can see the edge over here on the left, you can get a pretty tight tolerance for it, all the way up to and including like that. But sometimes if you go to where the edges of your water are just barely overlapping, you'll end up with a gap. So I just like to do that. I like to have what to me looks like 1/8 of an inch overlap, roughly. As we gain more money, the newer stuff we build, I will probably default to wasting it and running pipes under the streets. It just looks better. But initially, it's not. We aren't building a town for looks. We're building it for function. And if it doesn't function, it doesn't matter how good it looks. And so you see, we have the same little overlap tolerance, the 1/8 of an inch roughly. All of these things are going to be needing to be connected so that they function. If we wanted to save money, we could even not connect here, because there's not going to be really any zoning in the roundabout. And so I would even stop this pipe here. And all we're looking to do is make sure that everything that we are going to build on has this nice blue overlay on it. This stuff has no water. And this, if you were to try and build a building right here, it would still not have water, even though it is technically part of it still in the region where water is being brought or whatever. And so we want to come over here and do the same. It's the edge of our other neighborhood. We see the tolerance on our corner there, which lets me know that if I run it straight... Ooh, it's a little bit more than I want. It's okay. And we may want to run this one just a little bit further so that we have room to build on to this next neighborhood. Because when it comes time, we may not have the money for much else. So we want to connect all of our pipes together. It does not matter how they're connected. So now we have this series of them. They are all connected. That connects over here. It also connects this one. And so that we're not just running extra pipes, we actually don't need to connect a ton of it. That ring tells us that we have successfully connected our pipes. And now, because this one is the last connected in the series over on the other side, it will still have water pressure. And we can run a little branch like that. When I go to expand on the industry, I'll have to add more water pipes. But by that point, we should be earning money in the city. And if we're not, it won't matter because we will have gone bankrupt by that point. So we need to get a power system going here. So we've got a coal power plant. We're going to have to drop that into our industry first. And we want to put it as close over here to the neighborhood as I can get it. And the reason for that will become clear. So we set this down. And now we have a little bit of power represented by this blue. And so I want to bring a power line over to our neighborhood. And so we'll start right there. And now we just have to bring a power line over to the water. And I'm trying to make sure that I don't cut any of my own neighborhood off that I just built. We didn't. Great. So now the water is powered and the power is watered, and they will feed each other and the rest of the city. Done and done. We still have $1,900 left. And this is the first skeleton of our city. The town of Bergamontsville, Hamilton, or I'm sorry, Bergamontshiresville, Hamilton, is ready to fire up. Now, we will start hemorrhaging money pretty much immediately upon unpausing, and so you want to make sure that you have everything in place first. I'm going to block out some residential and okay. So we have some nice residential going over here. This I will have to fine tune pretty much immediately. But I just want to get the base set up. You know what? We don't need to zone out the industry and everything else just yet. We'll do one little portion over here by the power station. So every building that gets built requires power. As you build buildings, the power grid expands for what it can handle. And so it'll get bigger and bigger and start to cover the areas that you're building in. But if I were to build industry over here, it would require power. And if the people building it, or if the citizens that built their little structures over here were foolish enough to, they would start to have problems with no power almost immediately. And then I would have to solve that. So to not make that a problem, we just start building it right off the edge of the power plant. So typically, you're going to want to have areas for commercial as well, and that will be probably all of this right here. But having the residential crowding up along the main road is almost never a good idea. And so, because we're not going to need to build any commercial, we will need industry pretty quickly, but the commercial less so. So I'm going to come over to this tool called Select. And what I'm about to do is make sure that all of my properties face the same way or face the way that I want. Oops. And I'm going to do that by removing some of the zoning that is facing this road so that they can't be zoned there. That way no houses can face this road. They will only face this way or this way. And then to make that even more, for this main road, I'm going to take away all of this residential on both sides all the way down. There would just be houses crowding our roundabout, and the people would be unhappy almost immediately. So there's just no reason to. I hate those little stripes right there, that little single block line. It makes terrible houses, and they will face every direction. Some of them will cut themselves off from trash services and everything else, depending on how they're built. And they may take longer to start earning tax income as the homeowners figure all that out. So you want to try and help your little citizens as much as possible. So now we have a nice stripe everywhere where there's something odd, a single block. And I'm going to do something else where we're going to go through and cut some alleys. Now, the size of the structures varies for what can spawn in natively, and it's kind of dictated by the edges of this these alleys that I'm cutting. So obviously there's no house that can be built that goes bigger than this square. So typically the game will opt for several small houses instead, and that is kind of what I want. More houses, more residents. You can take time and plan out how many spaces or alleyways you want. It's useless, but you go right ahead and waste your own time doing it. I just do it based on how I feel, and it's never done me wrong. On areas like this that have an L, if you leave this open, you better hope you never expand a road that way, because otherwise you're going to be tearing people's houses down. And so a way to do it is to either not zone it or to set up like this. You look at both sides, you come over to the other side of the street, if you could. And typically you want to have at least one block on either side of the actual road so that when you build a two-lane road, it doesn't destroy this house or this house. It may make them angry, though, because, yeah, they just won't like it. Everybody here in all of these neighborhoods has water. They do not have power. And so while I striped this out to show you how to do it, I'm actually going to remove a lot of this stuff, the residential zoning. We'll build it back as it fills in, but it's really important for right now that I control everything. And so because our power line touches here, this is the closest that it reaches, this is the house I want to get moved into first. And I'm not going to let the game chance that. So I'm actually going to bring my delete stuff all the way to there, clear all of that out. Now, anybody who builds along here may likely have power already because of these power lines. These may be too far away, which is why this is sort of the key, but I'm willing to take a chance and find out on just this many. Not a lot, but just that many. And it'll be the same for zoning commercial. Zoning places for stores, you're going to want to have them near this main road. That way, service vans aren't driving through your neighborhoods to drop goods off or export goods. It gets pretty complicated, I guess. But for now, we only have one step left, and it's a really important step. So hopefully you didn't already start your city, because you're doomed. Um, you want to go over to the economy. We have a lot of different tabs that show you a lot of different information, all of which is kind of irrelevant currently, except for that triangle button showing you day and night. Never forget you have a budget for day and night. It will ruin you. You will bleed dry every single night that you make money during the day because you didn't realize you could turn your budget down for both daytime and nighttime services, for power, for roads, for water, and for whatever other services you have unlocked or are going to have unlocked. So now we have a 50% budget for everything, which means when I turn time back on and the game registers all of the stuff that I've built, it's not going to be charging me full price to run that stuff when I have currently no one in town. Um, and so let's see. Let's see if the roads. Okay, so we can get a little bit of a refund on these roads. I'm gonna refund myself just a little bit because having less than $2,000 sitting there is stressing me out. Um, we'll do that. We'll see how this works. Try and get as much. Try and get as much money back as I can right now as we're doing stuff. So for this, these are longer. We want these, so I could probably refund this whole road and the next one after it. There we go. It may still not be enough money to succeed, but that's the risk we take. So now we can go ahead and unpause. And now we wait. The way that I have it set up is going to require micromanaging quite a bit um, on these initial houses that move in. And the expansion, there we go. We now have a house. And I'm going to wait for this whole section over here to fill in first along the back end. That way when I build it up, the power can evenly spread. So now we've got someone else moving in over here, looks like. Yeah. A couple houses filling in. We can check and see. The darkened areas are where people are going to be moving in, and the whitened areas are not yet moved in. So there we go. Now all of this is filling in. Should get a couple more houses here and here. And once all of those are fully filled and they're building, we will expand the little neighborhood. Currently, we're only earning a 9% on tax, so it's kind of not great. But we're also, I was going to say, we're not hemorrhaging all that much money, but it looks like we might be. Indication of people that have moved in with that little person logo. And so I want to build a little bit more of our residential um, to the other side of the street, actually. I was going to build several neighborhoods up real quick, but they will fill it in, and then they will start crying about power and not paying taxes. So we don't need that at all. So we want to leave this gap here so that this house faces Youngway and not, well, that faces this part of Youngway. So now we can unpause again and let this stuff fill in. Keep an eye on the 3 meters in the bottom right hand of the screen. They show you the demand currently for your city and what is needed. Blue bar is commercial, the bottom is orange, that is your industrial requirement, and then the amount of people that want to move here and your residential requirement is that green bar. Oh, yeah, there's no outlet currently for waste. Shoot. Okay. Well, and it's a good thing I refunded a couple of the roads. Oh, we don't have enough money for any of it. Shit. So I forgot about shit. They have to poop somehow. Um, and yeah, this is the downside of building the big roundabout, is that there's going to be an oversight. There's going to be something. Um, I may be able to still refund a road. Yeah. Okay, so we'll refund a road up to there on that one, and maybe even potentially all of this side of the tracks. But I think we may need these to start profiting. So now we can afford a sewage drain, and ideally you want to put this as far away from your people and from this inlet as possible, because these generate noise, and that sucks. So it costs $2,500. We're going to put it pretty much as close as we can get it to. Ugh. Oh, I don't like that, but let's give it a try. And if I can, yes, we will refund this entire water line over here for right now. Really try to trim the fat. I think I did it. We'll see. Yeah, we did. Okay, cool. So almost all the time you're going to want to have like a couple of these sewage pipes going. One is never going to be enough. Let me make sure these are connected. No power. Got it. Okay. Okay. I think I got it now. And this city may fail because of the giant roundabout, but I really wanted it, so we're going to risk it. This specific city runs much better with a very large roundabout. It just does. So now we've got a little bit of commercial, mostly residential demand. And I want to build my neighborhoods going forward just a little bit. We really need to make sure that we keep power distribution going. And so we don't want to give anybody the chance to not do that. Oops. Keep holding square. And they will. If you grid out these neighborhoods, a lot of the times they will fill out like they should. But sometimes you'll end up with people across a road with no power. And it can become a problem. We may already be in problem territory. But it's okay. Getting some commercial businesses going is going to be very helpful. We might start with those over on this side. That way, there's a small amount of commercial that we could maybe get tax income from immediately. Even though I don't want to. If I can make it happen, I'm going to. Yeah, that's a pretty good little chunk of commercial. And for the commercial stuff, I'm not going to keep this here. This is just literally to try and save the town and have people move a business in quickly. And it may work, it may not. I think when you get below 5,000 is when you fail. Don't quote me on that though. Okay. And so we're just going to let it run, pray that I have got it figured out here. Pretty much as soon as there's a house built that can carry power further, as long as there's such a high residential demand, we're going to want to keep bumping it towards that main road. Um, there we go. Increase time so that we can just see how doomed we are. It'll tell us pretty quickly if we fail or not. So now the amount of money we're losing is starting to go down. That's a good thing. Um, we still need it to be obviously in the positive. It's in the negative currently. That's not a win. But I did see it shift from getting deeper in debt to now earning a small amount of income. And so we'll just let this back. We may end up leaving this, have a nice little strip mall, little store area. A lot of the first neighborhoods I build, if the city makes it, I'll end up keeping it as like a historical district or something like that. Just memories of it. And so our industry demand is growing, and we should start to see some of these things popping in. Um, I'm not going to zone these. I'm going to force the industry to come to this back one until it's full, whether they want to or not. Because if I don't zone anything else, they don't really have a choice. Even though we need money, I am still trying to make it, I guess, mm, zone out the way that I want. I still want it to be functional. So the industry will be what earns us the most money. Um, and hopefully that 380 minus will get to a plus before our negative amount that we owe hits 5,000 or 20,000 or whatever the doom limit is. I think it's 5,000. But we do have a pretty good set of industry demand. And so I could probably hit fill on this and be okay. So we're going to do that. Unpause. I'm leaving it at multiple times speed because we have no demand for residents currently. Um, this little neighborhood may work out. I don't know that, but it looks like it might. And if we can get some of these factories set up doing that, earning us some cash, that's all tax income. And so if all of that propagates in, looks like we still have a pretty good amount. Normally, excuse me, normally you kind of want to have your demands for residential, commercial, and industrial at about halfway. And once they build past halfway up, then you kind of want to fill them till they go halfway down. That way you are never exhausting anything. So we'll work on filling this up. I think we have enough room here to allow it to fill up however it wants for the industry. That little touch of residential coming back is a good thing. Like to see that. Um, and I'm encouraging as many people in the industry to come through here and set up shop as possible so that we can try to get above that negative amount, that red line. 117 is good. Obviously, we want it to be several thousand in the plus, and it's going to take some time to get it there. So on our residential, we have a little bit of demand. This is going to be cutting it close. It may still fail. Yeah. But that's okay. It may not. And that's kind of the exciting part, is I'm not sure. I just don't know. Ideally, you can get through this entire beginning section without ever having your money go into the negative, but it requires a little bit of a smaller scale build, and it's probably a better idea to use something like a wind turbine instead of a coal power plant initially. Come on, get us into the green. Get us out of that red. Come on, come on. $18 out of pocket still, $18. So I want to keep an eye on my residential. Yeah. So there's a couple of spots still. I need people to move in there. I don't want them to be full, or I mean empty. I want a house on every single one of these spots, even if it's weird shaped. And now we are earning money. So the city, even at plus 15, cannot financially fail. And we're out of the woods, just like that. We'll go to our select tool, bump out another couple residential sections here. Ever creasing our way towards the other side of the road, over by where that sewer pipe is, so that I can get all of this full of people. That'll bump our power further down the shoreline, and then I can scoot this disgusting sewer pipe out of the neighborhood. But we do need the money to make that happen. And so it's this dance is going to be important. We're going to need to get these residential people all the way up to this main street so that I can put commercial zoning over here. And so to start doing that, this is a bad zone. Glad no one's moved into it yet. Okay, start doing that. We're going to jump over right here and set some pretty big blocks. Just a single lane. And I think we're going to run them all the way to the end there. That way, these guys can build. It'll jump power from... Let me show you the visualization of power. So that little bubble grows as things are built. And so when someone builds a house here, that'll bump power over and hopefully give them enough to push it into this neighborhood, and then on, and then on, and then on. Now, if I were to build a house right here, it would probably get power off of this guy. But there's no guarantee of that. Sometimes it doesn't. Looks like it's got a pretty good bump out on the how far away you can put these power lines. But the most important thing is the city is not hemorrhaging money currently. And while it may require a little bit of touch and go with the sewage system and getting everything established, we now have a fully functional um, basic city. It's not earning or it's not losing money, it's earning money, and it'll climb its way out of the hole pretty quickly, earning 174 or however much more it gets per tick. And now, this will be the point of divide between a lot of people that play this game. Do you continually race and build, or do you allow things to level up and build your stuff slowly? There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. You're the mayor. It's literally up to however you're feeling. As for me, I think I prefer to go slowly and build it over time, and allow it to expand. Hey, that guy, that house we need to jump power just built itself, I think. So this is great. And we kind of just want to let it run. And while it does that, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And it looks like we may need some extra workers. Yeah, so this is the problem. If you zone out a bunch of industry, it will build itself. But there may not be enough people to provide for that industry or that commercial. Um, and so you end up with that problem right there, saying that we need workers and they don't have any. That's because we don't have enough residents, and the residents move in over time. But I also made it so that the city's not hemorrhaging money anymore. And so what you'll end up having is a natural restructuring of your job markets where the businesses that don't have enough workers will fail. That's not necessarily the end of the world, but it will cause a loss of income off of that one property. Um, Honestly, it couldn't matter less. Like if four of those industry places all need workers, in 10 minutes I'll go through and dezone them and destroy them, thus freeing up the workers who are there to go somewhere else. Um, and so it's a problem. It's the reason why you want to have about half demand for places that employ citizens, and about half demand for your residential bar, your green bar, to tell you that you always have a large amount of people that want to move to the city, and that you also have a high enough demand to meet the job market for those incoming citizens as you expand. So I'm going to get this unpaused. I'm going to go use the restroom and allow it to sort of just do its thing. And we're going to... Huh? There we go. I don't know where the hell the cinematic camera is. There used to be a lot of different camera options. And I know most of those are mod related, but even on the console, there's a way to do cinematic camera, but I can't seem to find it. So it's okay. We'll stumble across it. There's a lot of menus that I have to remember. Please enjoy this steady build of this little city. We have a neighborhood on the right side of that dirt road that needs to fill in. And I see them starting to, so that's good. Hopefully, there'll be enough of them to provide jobs for the industrial. Yay! And we've leveled up the town. So we get a little boost every time we level up, um, or advance the, I guess, I don't know, the city's level. So we bumped from a little hamlet, or I guess now we are a little hamlet at 380 for population. So we're 7 past that. And they gave us a little bit of money for it. Um, that will help in building services. And I'm pretty sure you get paid out for most of those milestone upgrades. That's what they're called. So we can scoot over to what our max at Megalopolis for this island. We're doing a 25 tile unlock. Woo! 85,000 people. Not that bad. I think there's a couple that have over 120,000 for requirements on Megalopolis. So this is going to be a pretty breezy build. I'm liking it. I don't like that that's off center. It's fine. I don't care. No one's going to notice. No one's going to notice. So instead of rampantly building as fast as I can, what I'm going to do now is slowly build up our residential. Looks like we've still got a couple of spots where it could fill in. And so we're going to let it do that. Yep, right there. It's starting to. So I want all of that done. I want this to fill in and get us all the way up to this road so that I can build some commercial stuff. And okay, so this kind of stuff will help keep an eye on everything that you're doing. As long as you're in the green, you're good. As soon as you dump into the yellow or the red, residents will struggle to have power or water or whatever. I am keeping a pretty tight vice grip on our power consumption so that we aren't over budgeting, because wasting money on that right now is just a death sentence. Oh, look at that. And now our residential has now resolved our industrial problem, like I was hoping that it would. And it has. We really need this little area over here to build all the way up to Tyler Harris Avenue so that I can throw some commercial. I'm also probably going to put a school and some nice services back here in the neighborhood. Initially, I like to put them on the main road, but then what I end up with is a bunch of immovable service centers consuming my entire main street, and I don't like that. It ultimately depends on how you want traffic to flow throughout your little city. I'd like to say it's up to whatever your hopes and dreams are, but it's not. It's up to your traffic and what you want that to look like. but we have a little bit more set up, and yes, I can go triple time. I don't. If you need to see triple time builds, there's a billion of them. Go check out Biffa Plays or City Planner Plays or any of that shit. They'll 1000x it and use 50,000 mods and whatever else. We're doing all vanilla off of PlayStation because honestly, it doesn't require all that other stuff. If you need a traffic manager for lane like management, I don't think you get the assignment, but there's nothing wrong with it. I've played with all the mods and stuff too. It's great. It's a really fun time. But it is not a requirement. Now we're back up to the 20,000 that we should have been given at the start. So we've now completely caught back up with our money. Even based on the original budget of being broke, we are past that. Successfully earning money, yeah. And so something that's going to continue to happen as I build this is the power will continue to climb in requirements. It's okay. 5% may not be enough. Your info views will tell you that. No, it's not. Okay. So, that's not good. Still not good enough. I just want to make sure that we're not going to bleed out by spending all of our money for power. But they're going to start to have water and sewage problems pretty quickly, yeah. Okay. Let's go check in on everybody, see how they're doing. I love the unregulated housing and letting them build whatever. Is that a Penny's? Ha! Yeah, the neighborhood Penny's. I love that it's right on the corner there. That's sick. What else we got here? A crap wireless. Yeah. Custom tees. That koi fish I'm going to call a Panda Express. Okay. We got a Fry Guys. Hey, and a bookstore. Awesome. Ice cream parlor. So we need to get education going pretty quickly for these people. Uneducated citizens are not going to be helpful for us in the long run. I will make small pockets of isolated, uneducated places that are specifically built to help set up and support one specific industry or whatever. But other than that, I really value them having their education. I think it's beneficial. Have our little industry over here. And unfortunately, as a side product of these things happening, our trees, our trees are going to start to die in that area. You can see the yellow pollution, the stain. That will have to be taken care of in the future. It's going to cause a blight in that little area. Trees will die. I don't remember if farmland and stuff goes away from it, but it's not good. And then on the secondary note, let's see. We can see how much waste we're actually creating. Trash. Where's the waste runoff? There it is. So we can see that there is some sewage just free running into the river. And I want to get that switched to inland plants pretty quickly because this is going to be a pretty heavy fishing town. There's just so many opportunities for it to happen all the way around. To not put up fish farms and harbors and stuff, it just feels like a waste of the space. But we can't catch fish if we're catching, you know, other stuff. It's hard to catch fish when you're catching pathogens, right? Oh. Well, I am pretty happy with this. It's the first little bit. We already hit our first milestone. Where's our second one at? Is it just past 1,000 people, or? Excuse my hands, they are not great. 800, okay. Well, that's what we'll do. We'll run all the way to 800 for this first stream, and then I'm going to take a break and think about... I don't think I'm going to do any building or anything like that off stream. I kind of want to keep it all here. But I'll break it into small chunks. That way there's not 6-hour streams that no one cares about. I like doing the long form stuff. But very realistically, the longer we take to build this city, the better it will be in the long run. Racing to get this whole first part finished and established is actually probably the typical death knell for most of these city builds. If you race through the initial stage and things aren't a high enough level, you'll almost always hit a point at which you have problems very quickly, and it's almost directly attributable to the fact that you overexpanded too fast. Slow, comprehensive builds. So our residential's getting quite up there, and that's great because I guess we can do it right now. I mean, we're going to have to get to 800 somehow, right? But if you don't, if you don't want to keep building out, you want to set up services like medical, trash, police and fire, education, all the staples people want, and then you just let the residential demand be high. And what typically happens is the houses will then level up. Since there's no spot for new residents to move, the old ones level their buildings up and make new space. And I prefer that. We're going to leave this side of Right Way undone. I just feel like we're going to need some sort of an unnamed service here, just because it's such a small little blurb of a road. And yeah, it's getting us pretty close to Tyler Harris here. So we've got one more jump on this side to do. Figure we want to fill out the other side of Right Way. You know, might not be a bad idea to leave this whole section undone on one side or the other for a park, because sometimes parks take up a pretty large area. My goal is to get all of this filled out. But I really don't want to put anything that's in that ring of noise pollution that this thing creates. Let's see. So that thing has a ring for noise that comes to about here. So I'd say it's probably safe to build the back half of this neighborhood. And I am not going to do anything but a single stripe there. And we'll want to build a power line. There. And hopefully somebody doesn't build all the way over here first, but they take the... Jesus? Is that you? Hello? So those lightning strikes can cause some pretty substantial damage, actually. I'm being funny, but if you don't take a look around your area, you may find a huge portion of it engulfed in flames pretty quickly after a lightning strike like that. Okay, so we are hitting the need to add more power. Oops, why am I pausing? $80 ought to do it. And it will. No? Okay. And so, yeah, we've reached the point where commercial demand is starting to exist. That's a great thing. I'm trying to avoid putting any of it down just yet. And there we are. With this, we get an extra area of land to build in. We have unlocked districts, policies, loans. We already had loans, but now we get a second bigger loan if we wanted it. I do not recommend taking those. District specializations and services policies, as well as emergency services, police department, unique buildings, forestry, and agricultural specializations, which is what we need. And then self-sufficient buildings, organic and local produce, and some other policies, our power and water usage, so that we can cut everybody off. We could choose to distribute smoke detectors, which will reduce the amount of need for a fire station. We also have the fire stations, the firehouse, the police station, and some... I guess I've never seen the fire safety center. That must be from something new. Same with the RJ police box. Those may be from a content creator pack or something like that. Either way, very cool. And so we'll do some of that probably later tonight. But for now, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching.